Hey guys, what's up? So last time we were able to create a user via email, but we went ahead and made their account inactive. In this video, we want to be able to activate this account when a user clicks the link that we will send in an email that will send to the email that they will provide. Let's first verify if we actually have this user saved. So I'm going to go into the Python shell. Django ships with a shell which we can access in interactive mode by doing Python manage shell, manage.py shell. So in the interactive mode, we can now import directly our users model like we would in the app. So from django.contrib.u.contrib.auth.models import code user. So I'm going to try to query for all users to see if we actually have users. So user.objects. You can see that we have a user. So now I want to check for the is active property on this user. So I can just do user equals user objects. Actually, I can just do objects get. Then we can now query this user by username. So username equals here. Just copy it, paste it, remove that. So that gives us our user. If we can do user.name, user.email, you can see we have the email. So user.isActive. We can verify that it's false. So now we need a way of turning it to true. And the way you're going to do that is by sending an email to the user, to which when they click, we can now verify that they own that email. They can now access our application. To show you, what you're going to need to have is a Gmail account. For the Gmail account, you will need to do an additional setup, and that will be to allow insecure apps to access that account. So to send emails, we need to first tell Django about a few things. If we can answer some few questions that Django requires, then we will be able to we'll be on our way to start sending emails. So hop over to our settings py file, and the first thing we need to answer, or the first question that Django expects when we are sending emails, is something called email host. The email host has to be a string. So another thing will be the email host user. So just do that, email host user. Here you need to manage the casing. They have to be all uppercase. Another thing we need to answer is email host password. So we'll get to this in a minute. Another thing we need to answer is email underscore use underscore TLS. One last thing that Django needs is the email port. So email port, just like that. So if you can answer these questions, then Django can now be able to know how to send out those emails. So the email host basically is a server that we are going to use to send out these emails. In our case, we are going to use Gmail, although you can use something like SendGrid, but Gmail is really easy to set up. The email host for Gmail is smtp.gmail.com. So that is one question answered. So another thing we can just fill in from now is the email port. By default, the emails will use port 587 in the Django app. So just use that. Then email use TLS. Basically, it's asking us if we want to encrypt data between our local server and then the Gmail server, and that's like how basically I can simplify it. But it's really interesting how TLS works, but we just need to pass it through there such that everything is encrypted and it's somehow more secure. So now we need to answer these questions here. At its core, what this means is you need to provide your Google, your email here, and then the password you use to log into that email here. So if you can provide those, then everything is going to work fine. But one of the challenges you're going to find at first is you're going to need to enable insecure apps to your email that you're going to use. So I have my test email opened up here, and we need to hoop over to this link. I will leave it in the description. If you can copy it out, it will be good. So we need to come and enable this to on. I will leave the link in the description. You can click on it and then you can enable insecure apps on your account. Here I'm going to go ahead and provide the email. So let's see the email I have here, testsender@gmail.com. I will not be showing you the password, but you can use your own password. Just trying to copy and paste is not working today. So just copy it out. Then now we can answer this question. Oh, it's not working. Let's see. Okay. So I'm going to copy this and then we can answer this question. So for the password, you can feed in your password. I'm going to go ahead and just put in ramble password, but you make sure you use your password on there. Once we can answer these questions, you want to make sure you have this one set to true. If you're using an account that has two-factor authentication, then this will not be, you will not be able to do this, but you can create a test account to just send out emails. In other words, you don't even want to do these things on your main Gmail account. Have this one set. So once that's done, I just want to show you how we can hide these values from version control or from Git by adding them to an environment file. So to add them to an environment file, we need to create a file called .env. So .env, like that. So create it, make sure it's in the root of the project. So now in the .env, I'm going to come and copy them out like this. You will need to have your values in there like that. One of the difference will be you need to use the word export behind every key that you set. So export, then our configurations. Then for these string parameters, we even don't need these strings here, so you can even remove them. Make sure you don't have a space here. Make sure there's no space between those, otherwise it might not be able to read them through. Set your values like this. Then now in settings, we want to pull them in from the environments using the OS module. So to pull them in, you use the OS module. So you do OS environ and do get. So get takes in the key, which is this. So I'm going to just copy this, replace for this, and for this, and for this, for this. Then replace, this, host user, replace. Okay, from here now we need to make sure that the .env file does not get added to version control, and the easiest way to do that is to create a .gitignore file, .gitignore. So this should also be in the root of the project, and now we need to have the environment.env added there. So if you're working on a team with other people, they might need to know what you have in the environment. So the easiest way to do that is you create for them a sample file such that they can know what to have. So you need to call it something like the env sample, something like that. So sample file what. So in here now you can it should be in the root also. So here you can specify for them what they need. So here you can now put placeholders so they will know that they need to fill out these. For example, you might have like database credentials that are different. So on a local machine, they might need to use something different. So just add it like that, and now they can know which one to configure. So good, well and done. So I want to just pull this one in a bit. There's a service called git ignore. So if you can go to git ignore IO, this allows us to create very quick git ignore files. So you type your technology, so Django. So now you can get all this. It will know all the files that should not be added to git. So yeah, so you can see even .env. You can see that .env is actually there. The environment files are there. So yeah, this is the easiest way to almost cater for everything. So save that. So once that's done, now we can go ahead and see how to send out our emails. So let me minimize this a bit. So in the views.py, just after we save the user, we want to do a couple of things. One of the things we need is a way to construct a URL. We are going to need a way to construct a URL that's unique to our application. So we need to get the current domain that the application is running on. So to get the current domain, we need to use something that the Django shortcut provides us. So just import from Django, contrib sites shortcuts, import utility called get current site. So this will give us our current domain. Now so that will give us our current domain. So here we can go ahead and create, so current site equals get current site. So get current site takes in a request object, and that's what it uses to know where the application is living. So the request, we have it already. It's passed in within our post. Pass it in, that gives us our current domain. In this case, it will be localhost port 800. So if we are on another domain, it will also pick that one up as it should. Now to send an email, we need an email subject. And in this case, this will be to, the subject here will be to activate an account. So activate your account. Okay. So another thing we need is to construct the message. So our message will contain different things, but most importantly, it will contain our URL and then our URL that will also have our tokens to know which user should activate. To construct a message, just type message. Now I'm going to use a utility called render to string, and render to string comes in from template loaders, I believe. So let's see, I believe so. So from Django.contrib, from Django.template.loader, import render to string. So basically, what render to string does is it renders a template with context. So context now will be these other additional data, like the URLs will be passing. So now we can call render to string. Okay, so like it says render to string takes in a template name. We are going to create a template called activate with HTML. Also, it takes in the context. So in the context, this is where we are going to specify all the things that we need, to actually create a token and move from there. Here we need to add the context. So the context has to be a dictionary. One of the things it's going to contain is the user. So the user now can be our user. We already have him or her, or then we need to pass a domain to it. So the domain we can just get from get current site. So get current site gives us a domain property. Now we also need to generate the user ID, but in an encoded way. So to get that, We're going to call it UID. So UID, and we are going to use a tool called URL safe. So URL safe comes from Django HTTP. So from Django.utils.http import put URLs encode. Yeah, so we're going to use that. Also, let's also get decode now, since you're going to be decoding some things later. Decode. So once that's done, now here we can use that URL code to encode our user ID. So now to get the ID, which is now the primary key that the user gets, so we can do user.pk, but now we need this one to be encoded as bytes. So Django also provides us with a utility called force bytes, which you can get from utils. So from Django, let's also import it. So from Django.utils.encoding import force bytes. So force byte. We're also going to import some things. So force bytes will create bytes, but we also need to turn those bytes into text when we are decoding. So let's also import that as we move. Also, I want to import, still in the same path, I want to also import Django Unicode decode error. So Django Unicode decode error, since we are still here, because we are going to be using these later. So here we need to wrap this one in force bytes. So force bytes, yeah, such that it's actually encoded and the user does not, and the user cannot tamper with it and we don't find out. So then we need to get the token, very importantly. So put a comma there. Then now the token will be gotten from a utility called password reset token generator. So to generate a token, we need to use a utility that's built into Django. So I'm going to do an import here. So from Django.contrib.auth.tokens, yeah, tokens, import password reset generator. So this one here, it's basically meant for resetting password, but we're going to use it for activating accounts also. So if we can check out its source code, you can see that it can be used to make a token, it can be used to verify a token, it can be used to hash stuff. Yeah, so well and good. So what I want to do now is kind of rename this to be generic to the things we will do. So what I want to do now is create a file in our project called utils.py. So now in here, now we can add our import. I want to override this class. So class, I'm going to call it something like token generator. Then it's going to just inherit from password reset generator, meaning we can now get everything that is included in the every functionality that is here. So now basically what I just want to do is I'm not going to be doing a lot from the parent class, but just what I want is to create an instance of this and call it something that is meaningful. So I'm just going to call it generate token. Then I'll just set it to our class, so token generator. Let's also remember to invoke it such that we can now call methods directory. So if we can come back to our view, we need to import it. So from .utils, import generate token. Now if we come now to our token, we can do generate token, and we can call a method called make token. So make underscore token. So make token takes in a user. Now we can pass in a user here. So now we've worked on the message. We have worked on the message, although we have not created the template. The message is set up. Now we need to actually go ahead and send out this email. So to send out the email, we are going to import a class called email message. So to get that, do from Django.core Django.core.mail import called email message. Okay, so what now we need to do is define, so import email message. I'm just going to do a simple Google search here to get what email message will require. So email message, Django. Let's come here. Let's send mail. What do I want? Email message. Send mail. Okay, so you can read here. You could come and read here for all the other stuff that email message will do. So let's copy out that. We've already imported it. So now down here, after defining the message, so this should be the subject. So we can replace it with subject. So what did you call it? Let's first fix the indent. So this should be email subject. Then this will be the body. So it's going to be the message. Then this is the from email. So the from email is who is sending the email, and we've already defined that in the settings. So we can just get it from the settings. So to get access to the settings, we need to import them also. So from Django.conf import settings. So coming back, we can do settings dot, it's called email host user. So if you can check again, we called it, yeah, email host user. So let's come back here. That's done. Put a comma. Then this is a list of where we are going to be sending a list of emails that we are sending this email to. So the list, we are basically sending it to one person, and we can just get it from we can just actually supply the email here. Oh no, we don't want it to crash with this. So email, let me change this one to email message. So now this, okay, so now we can pass in our user's email, and this is the reply to. We don't need this. The headers, we don't need to supply headers. So yeah, so that's done. Now when this configuration is done, we need to now say email message, we call send on it. So send. So that will send the email. So it has this attribute called fail silently. It's false by default, and basically this gives us logging information if something goes wrong. So once we are set doing that, we need to create this activate.html template. So here in auth, create a template called activate.html, and this is going to be really simple. So if you can come here, we basically need to construct our email. So to construct the email, we can do so in the activate.html, we need to construct our email. And now to construct the email, we are going to first need to add these special tags here. So auto escape off. Let me just end them, then I'll tell you what that one does. So end auto escape. So yeah, so once that's done, so this basically says we are trusting the source that this is coming in from. So Django should not have to worry about things like cross-site scripting. So those are the attacks that attackers usually do. But now that we know that this template is going to be triggered from our application, we can now trust it and turn auto escape to off. So now let's construct our email. So let's do hi. Now we need to read, so hi. Now we need to read what we sent in the context. So in the context we sent user. So we need to get the user's name. So user.username. So that will do something like hi, then whoever the user will be. Then on the next line, let's tell them please click this link below to verify your account. Yeah, so now to get the link, this is now going to be tricky. So what we need to do now is let's start by writing HTTP, then put that, then now it's going to be the domain which we passed in the context, if you remember. Now after this so after the domain we are going to use the URL helper to actually look out for the URL where they will be sent to. So the URL will be responsible to take in the UID that we created, and then the UID that we created, and then the token. So we will create that URL also. The URL, we will give it a special name for activate. Then we will accept a named parameter called UID base64. So UID base64. And then this will be the UID. Now this UID is sent from the context, if you remember, and then the token. So the token will be basically the token that we pass from the context, just like that. So what this does is basically saying look out in our application for a route that has the name activate and then accepts these two parameters. Now let's go ahead and create that route. If we could go to our urls.py, now we need to create that route that accepts those, that will do the verification and all that stuff. So the route basically need to add another path. We are going to prefix it with activate, and then it's going to accept those named parameters that you saw earlier. So slash. So now we need to add those. They are going to be 2. So if you could see how we named them, UID B64, the URLs, replace that. Also this will be the token. Now we need to add the view. I'm going to copy this. Then this is going to be views.activate view. I'm going to go with activate account view, then add as view, then the name here that has to be unique. So now the name will be what we called it here, so activate. So make sure that's consistent across. So once that's done, now we need to create this view. So in the views.py, down after the login, create a view. It has to inherit from view. It should be capital V. Now it needs to have def get. So the get request will be made by the browser. The first parameter is self because we are in a class. Then of course the request. Then with those two named parameters, so UID B64, that's how we called it, and then the token. So make sure you have your get request taking in those. In here is where we are going to do the checks to actually make sure the token is valid. The token has not been used twice, so the token is valid. So let's just go ahead and do that. So to get the ID, because now we need to be able to know which user we are going to activate in the database. So I'm going to use a try except block here because we are using a lot of encryption stuff. So if something fails, we don't want our application to crash. Let's try to get the ID. So UID will equal to, remember how we used first bytes? Now we are going to use first text. So ID will be first, we imported it earlier, text. So first text, now we need to pass in URL safe base64 decode. We also imported it, so URL safe, let me just get it, URL safe decode. So in here, just think of the process we did earlier as encoding. Now we need to decode this stuff in the correct way. So this basically takes in a string. So now let's pass in the ID, the UID that's encoded, so it will decode it. So let's just pick it from here. Replace. To get the user, we can get now, let's say user. The user will be, we can now get the user from the ID. So user.objects. Get, then now we can PK will be the UID. So once that's done, now here in the accept, we are going to accept all errors. So exception. So now in here, it would mean that we were unable to decode it, meaning maybe it was used or the user tampered with it. We can go ahead and change the user object to none if we didn't go ahead to decode properly. After that, we are going to go ahead and check if we have the user, because we want to make sure we have the user before we can activate them. So if user, let's just is not none, and I want to make sure that the user is not none and the user's token is valid. So to make sure that the user's token is valid, we still use generate token, then we call check underscore token. So check underscore token basically takes in the user and then the token. So the user now will be user, then the token. The token is coming in from the request here. So we pass it in. So if everything is fine, now we can go ahead and activate the user. So we can do user.isActive equals true. After we make them true, we can do user.save to make sure that all changes are saved. Let's tell them that the email is verified. So messages.add message. This will be a success, but first thing we need to pass a request. Then messages. Let's do info. Then let's see account activated successfully. So once that's done, we can now redirect to the login page to where they can log in. So return. I'm going to return a redirect to the login page. So the unique name for the login route is login. If we're unable to do all that, that would mean that we don't have the user and everything, and the link is invalid. So we can just return them to a place where we can tell them something went wrong, we could not activate your account. So let's just render a template here. I'm going to pass in the request, then the template is going to be auth. Let's go and activate failed. Okay, so if it fails, then you can just pass in like status, pass in like 401, make sure it's the authentication process didn't go right. So this should be .html. So copy that. Let's create the HTML file with HTML, and here we can just do an h3. Something went wrong. Please request the activation link. we've done quite a lot, and I feel like we have a lot of errors, but let's go ahead and run the application such that we can test it out. So run server, everything is running out fine. If we open it, let's click register. I'm going to first delete this DB. Yeah, I'm going to delete it, then recreate it. Python manage SPY, make migrations. Actually, all migrations are made, so migrate. So it's going to recreate it, but it deletes all the initial data. That's just what I wanted. Kind of took a long way, huh? So if we come back and reload, let's try to provide. Okay, let me see if I can get this email. Actually, we are using the same email. So now I'm going to supply this email. So test user. Oh, sorry, didn't copy it out properly. So copy, then the full name is going to be test user. The name is going to be test. Let me add a password. Confirm it. Passwords don't match. So let's try again. Password. So when we click create an account, we can see that our server failed. So now we need to debug and know why this happened. So if we come to our app, looks like it has not been able to connect, and that's because it's probably missing those details we added in the .env. So we need to source in our environment file. So do source.env, then now run the server again. So let's try it out one more time. So reload. They are taken. I'm going to delete the DB. So this SQL DB here. Then rerun migrations. Migrate. Source it. Run server. So let's try it out again one more time. So it takes some time, and then it takes us to the login page. We don't get the message, and we'll look at how to fix that. So if we can check now our email, we have, okay, now this is really great. So we have a new email, although so let's see if we click on the link. So if we click on the link, notice that we are redirected to the home page. We are not seeing the messages, and I think it's because we don't have flash messaging on the login page. So if I can go to the template for registration, so register, where we display the messages, I'm going to copy it out. Then I'll replace in the login. Let's see here. Okay, so now we can display these messages. Notice that we have danger for everything. And to fix this problem, I'm going to just do this. Then this message comes with a tag. So a tag can be something like info, success, error, the ones we add. But one of the difference between the regular bootstrap tag, so one is different and that one is for error. So the tag that Django calls error, bootstrap calls it danger. So to achieve that, we need to come to the settings and also tell Django that we need to change that. So to change it, we need to import messages also, to import messages here, which I think we've already imported, not quite. So from Django dot, where is it, dot contrib import messages. So in here we need to add some other configuration. So let's add a configuration for the messages. We need to define a messages tag, message underscore tags, and then we need to map the danger to the error for Django, the danger for Bootstrap to the error for Django. And to do that, we just do messages dot danger dot error. Actually, it's called error. Then we want to refer to it as danger. So yeah, so now meaning we don't need this. I think that should do. Yeah, so meaning if we come now to our template for login, this will mean danger. So it's going to do alert danger. But now that we are sending a message for success, let's take a look at that view. This is the view. So we do .info. Actually, let me just call it success. So success, now it will just come and match here. So it will be alert success, meaning we'll get a different style for it. So let's run the app again. Before we do that, I need to delete the DB such that we can test again. Of course, I can go into the shell and delete one item that I want to delete, but this is really not called for. So starting, and now run the server again. We need to migrate those changes, those migrations. Migrate, run the server, so step F, then run the server. If we come back to the registration, we have an issue. Set object is not a mapping, meaning we are not doing something correctly in the settings. So settings.py error. Oh, this should be full colon, I believe. Okay, we reload. When we reloaded, it kind of created again, which we don't want. I'm going to delete it. Run migrations again. Run the server again. So I don't want to reload here. So let's go there like normally. Use this test user, test password, click register. Notice that the process of sending an email takes a while, but I will give you a solution to this problem as we go on. So now it tells us that the account was created successfully. Our style is not coming through. We will look into it. So account created successfully. If we go to our email, which is here, let's see, we have this new email. If we click on the link, it activates successfully, but we have this message still kept. So those are the things we will look out to fix in the next video. So if you're new to the channel, please like, subscribe to the channel such that you get notifications when we post new videos. Also remember to turn the notifications on, so when you post new videos you get notified of our new videos. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.